Hi, I'm John Storms, and we're continuing with the sequencing tutorial. So, first thing we did was we learned how to break down a song. Then we mapped out our display for our first song. And what we're going to do next is, before we actually get into sequencing, we're going to do a couple of things to make lives easier for ourselves. So, first thing we're going to look at here is we're going to talk about tracks. Okay, so right here we can see that we are now looking at the one and only track, and it is the master track. Now, what you want to do to make life easy for yourself is that as your light show progresses, is that you want to add on to the end of this. You don't want to insert things into the middle. But as you add things, it might get a little out of order. So, you may want to have a different view so that it's a little bit easier for you to work with. So what we do for that is we create new tracks. So we're going to say add a new track. And let's say we're going to call this one, oops, didn't mean to say create new track, we are going to duplicate track. So we're going to call this one ordered. And we can say use the existing timing grid, and then the display will move. So now we're on the ordered track. Now, this is exactly the same data that's in the other track. It's just another view of it. Okay, so what we can do is we can now move things around here without screwing up the master track. So the master track we leave alone, the other tracks we can mess around with. Now this one I'm calling ordered because what we're going to do is we're going to put this kind of in a left to right order. So we have Eve 1, 2, and so on. But it's probably nice to keep these together. But it would be nice to be able to do a wave across the display. So we have like Deer 1. So we find Deer 1. Now let's move him up above Tree 1. And then it's Tree 1, and then we kind of have our left tree. Okay. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then between 6 and 7, we have our other tree right there, and then it's Deer 2. Now what's nice about that is I can do something like this, where I could say, let me do a wave or a chase across that whole section like that. See, so now if I play this through, see, it kind of gave us a nice wave across that. So it makes it easier. And the whole point about tracks and also groups is that it's to help make the sequencing effort go easier. Now the eaves are probably all nice to have together because we can go across, but if I'm trying to get my order so I can do a wave across the house, then it would be Eve 1 and 2 and then kind of 3. So let me get Eve 1, Eve 2, and Eve 3 up here. So what I've done is in my order track, I have these guys ordered from left to right, and I could do a wave across the whole display. Now the other thing I could do is that I could do a wave back. Oh, now look what this did. It just chopped off what I just did there. Now why did it do that? How can I prevent that? If I go to Edit, Paste Mode, Paste from Foreground, and now let me try doing that chase again. Bang, see? Now it works. So that paste to foreground is a nice trick. Now let's see what this looks like. Jingle bells back. See that? It went back and forth. Now if I wanted to see what that looked like a little bit better, I can go up here and say play, selection, and then I can say play, loop at end. So I can see how this effect looks. Jingle jingle see that? Then I come into here. Whoops. My select is off. There we go. Jingle jingle. See? And now I can see what it looks like going back and forth. And that is an effect of being able to wave across and back again. Now this is looking at the ordered view. If I go back and I look at the master, see, this looks all choppy. The ordered view allows me to do it. If you had to do that here, on this view, it would be really tricky to do. So you can go in here to the ordered and say, I want to do it this way, and it makes it a lot easier. So you can have a different track for every type of view that you want to do. Now, the number of tracks that you have is limited by what version of the Light-O-Rama software you have. So you want to go and double check the Light-O-Rama page to see what it allows you to do. Now, let me do this. Let me go back to the master track. And I can go and I can create a track. Well, I can even do this in the order track. That's fine. Oh, actually, I've messed this one up. So let me go and create myself a new track. Because now the things are not in the order that I would want them to be in. See, so I can go in here, say create a duplicate track. And I'm going to call this one, oops, use existing timing. I'm going to call this one groups. Okay, so now I have a third track. Track number 3 is called groups. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say convert this to a group, and what you're going to do is you're creating a container that's going to contain a number of channels. So I'm going to call this tree line, and it's going to start at tree 1 and it will continue to tree 7. Now if I leave this, if I don't check this, it's going to take them out of the channels, out of the track. It's going to put them into the group, but I want to leave a copy in its existing locations. So I still have these here, but now if I open up this group, I have the trees. Now what's nice about this is I could come in here and I could say, well, okay, for this part I want the trees on. Okay, so when I do that, you see what it did? It turned the lights on for all the trees. Now another thing I could do, and this is really handy, let's say there's parts of the songs where I want to turn on everything. Well, let me create a group. I'm going to call this group everything. And I'm just going to get the whole, whoops, everything except here 2. Here's everything. Okay, so now I created this group. So now if I turn the lights on here, I get everything. Now the other cool thing is if I go in here and I do this, and then I do this, I've just created a chase across everything. I still have my select on. See, so you can do different things. So if I do a chase across everything, it literally does everything across the group, but it does it in the order that I have set. See? So I might say, oh, you know what? I kind of like the ordering that I have in the other one. So within the group here, I'm actually going to rearrange the order of these guys. Like this. See that? So now, if I do this, and then I do my chase across everything, and then I go to see how it looks. See, it's chasing left to right. Now, if you want to go right to left, it's just as easy. It's just backwards. You put this guy here, and then you say chase this way, and you go back and look, and it should chase the other direction. See that? Now we haven't started lining up to music yet. We are just setting it up for ourselves so that this is easy. Now if I want to delete everything, I can just delete out of here. I've deleted everything. So what I can do is I come down here, I say, well, let's convert this to a group. I'm going to call this my big trees. Okay. Move that up here, and then I can say convert to group. I'm going to call this one eaves. And then I'll call this one deer. See that? So now I have a very handy way of being able to turn on everything, the trees, and so on. So this actually it starts making the sequencing job a little bit easier. Oh, you know what I did? I accidentally sucked up all my eaves, and I didn't want to do that. So what I do is I say D group. See that? And then I say convert to group, leave channels in their existing positions, eaves, create the group, put the deer back in their place, and off we go. Now the other thing I can do that's fun is I can say, well, you know what? I want to have all my blue lights together. Now, in this case, all my blue lights happen to be the eaves, but let's say that, you know, the deer were blue. What I would do is I move the deer up to here and create a group from eaves through deer. Okay, but I don't want to do that. What I do want to do, well, I did the same thing with big trees. Okay, get out of the way. Get out of the way, tools. Okay, let me fix this one. See, showing you how to troubleshoot too. No extra charge. Big trees. Okay. Now, another group that would be handy is if I wanted to turn on all the colored lights at the same time. So my colored lights are these guys that are red and these guys that are blue. So I say I want to create a group called colors. So these are all my colored lights. Now you notice I can move these guys around. I'm moving them back and forth as I need to. And it's not messing up a thing because I'm doing it in my groups track, not my master track. So I leave my master track alone. So now I want to do one for all the white lights. Convert to group. Whites. And there we go. So now we got the colored lights and the white lights. Huh. Okay. Not trying to be racist, that's just the way it worked out. Okay. Now, what I can do here is I can sit here, I can say colors, whites, colors, whites, colors, whites, colors, whites. And then we can see how that looks. See, that's another effect of switching between colored lights and white lights. You see. Jingle bells. See? And we did it. So now we have another effect that we can use. And it's just that easy to do because we can bounce back and forth between colored and whites. Now, what the other thing you can do too is you can create clusters. So we can say, well, you know, in here, I kind of want to do the left side and then the right side, so I can go back and forth. But I got this tree in the middle, so you either decide to leave him out or you just pick a side. So we'll have him just pick a side. Or we might say, you know what, we're going to have one for the yard. So let's do that one first. So we're going to say we're going to have a group that is the yard. Wait a minute, did I get the big trees in here? I did not. I want the big trees in my yard. Ah, but they're in the wrong order, so let me move these guys down. Convert to group. Yard. Leave a copy. I got the yard. Now here I just have the eaves on the house. So if I did one for house, it would be the same as the one for the eaves. But you know, I'm keeping it simple for the tutorial. But let's say you have another one for the house, and you can say, okay, these are the eaves. Leave a copy. So now you have another effect. You could bounce back and forth between the yard and the house. Jingle bell. See, that's another effect. Because what we're going to do is we have the song broken down the way that we like it. What we're going to do is we're going to then figure out what effects we want to do to match up to the song. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of have a left side and a right side to the yard. So I have the right side here. So then I want to group the tree. You see, this deer, he would be up here with this side. Oh, and for grins, we'll put this guy in the right spot. Put him in the right spot. So trees 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's say 1, 2, and 3 we're going to say is the left, and then 4 on is the right. Okay. So convert to group, and then we call this one yard left. And then we are going to have yard right. It goes through deer too. Okay. Now, another way I could approach this is I created house, which is everything. So let me just delete this group. Oh, deleting a channel group list deleted from the entire sequence. We don't want that. We want to remove the channel group list from this track. Okay, so what I've done is, no, I didn't want to do that. Control Z does not bring it back. Ah, man, I meant to get rid of the yard. Okay, we'll bring the house back. So now, so what I could do is I could have done yard left, yard right, and then for the whole yard, I can say convert this to a group. We're going to call this yard. And I'm going to have it include yard left and right. I'm not going to leave these in their existing. What happens is yard left and right disappeared, but they're nested inside of yard left, yard right. See, so if you want to keep it nice and organized, you can do that. Okay, now let me recreate house. Now if we had more than just eaves, we could do the same thing. We could have subgroups, one for snowflakes, one for eaves, one for whatever, wreaths. Okay, so there we have house. Okay, so now with the yard, we have another effect that we can do where we can say, I want to do left, right, left, right, left, right, and so on.
Jingle bell, jingle bell.
See? So we're creating all these cool effects that we can use to make our life easier when we sequence, because we're lazy and we want to get the best bang for our time. Delete everything. See, that delete everything is a handy thing to have. So that's kind of a quick view of groups and tracks. Now, one interesting thing about groups is that within a group, let's say you wanted to do something where I had one group where I could go back and forth across the eaves. Right, so right now I have the eaves like this. Okay. And let's say I wanted to chase across the eaves. So I come across and I get, see, it's chasing that one direction. Now if I wanted to chase it back, I could say, hey, well, why don't I create a group where I have the eaves in there twice? Right? I could have it so that the eaves are in there twice, where it goes left to right and then right to left. Thing is, within a group, you can only have the channels visible, one set of channels visible. Okay, you can't do it two different ways. But there is a trick you can do to get around that. For example, I could create myself a little group here. I can say this is eaves left to right. Okay? And I'm going to do it like this. Then what I can do is I can reorder these guys. Like that. Okay, now I'm going to create another group. And I'm going to say eaves right to left. And this goes from 5 to 1. Okay, now I'm going to create a group called eaves left to right, right to left. So now I have this group, and I got both of these guys in here. So now I can expand both of these. And then if I do a chase, and I say, do like this, you get it back and forth. See, it goes back and forth. Now some people say, well, hey, you know, it's just as easy to do a backwards trace as it is to do a forwards trace. But consider a situation like, on my house I have all of these snowflakes, and I want to do a pattern where it runs up the side of the house, around the window, across the other side of the house, around the other window, and down the side. Well, in the process, I'm actually hitting some of those snowflakes multiple times by creating subgroups within a group and then chasing across the whole thing. I can create myself a group that represents that chase line, that weird chase line where it loops around the windows and back down. And anytime I want to do that, I just use that group. So it's kind of a built-in effect from that point on. Okay. Let's see. Any other useful groups that we might want to use in house? We have the big trees, we have the deer, we have left, right, house. Okay, I think we got them. Okay, so that is a quick view of tracks. Now the other nice thing about tracks is that if you wanted to mess around with the timings, every track supports its own set of timings. So I can come into here, right click, and then where you can't see this below, but I can say delete selected timings, and these timings are gone. Okay, now if I go back to my master track, whoops, I got rid of that. Sorry. If you want to do that, here's what you do. You say timings, duplicate to new freeform grid, say I call this one test, and then so here I can say I'm using test, and then I can delete this timing. See that? And then I can go to the master track and still have it. So you can maintain a set of timings. So timings and tracks are separate. You can maintain a set of timings, one that's to the beat wizard, another one that you've kind of messed up on your own. The other thing you can do is say, well, I'm going to create a new timing. I'm going to add a new freeform grid. I'm going to call this one tapped. Because you might be having a part of the song that you're really having trouble with. And so I might come over here to groups and I say, you know what, I'm going to use this new tapped, and there's nothing here. So then I'm going to say, you know what, this part of the song is giving me trouble, so I'm going to go to Tools, I'm going to go to my Tapper Wizard, and I'm going to say, you know, when I say start, it's going to give me a couple seconds, it's going to tap. Now here it says mouse down, mouse up, each count is a single click, or you can say mouse down and mouse up count as two separate clicks. I like counting it as one. And basically what you do is you tap along with the song. So every time you see this flash, that's me tapping. It gives us a little warm-up, and we get ready.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel, the Joker got away. Hey, jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel, the Joker got away.
Okay, so apply and exit. Now what I did just there is I did it with the song. Okay, so if I wanted to, now I could come in here and say, well, you know what, I kind of made this go along with the guy singing. And if I were to play this out, and then watch my little beat wizard.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin, jingle bells, Batman.
See, that little flashing yellow box shows the vocal, and I was able to tap that out relatively quickly. Now sometimes if you'll notice you're a little delayed, you might have to move these around a little bit, but it's another way that you can get your timings. Okay, so the main point of this part of the tutorial was to show the how to do tracks, a little bit with timing, and also talking about groups. And along the way we show you a couple of other tricks. So that's this tutorial, and the next tutorial we'll actually do the part that people like, which is actually start making the lights blink and flash.